Hi, it's Paddy from Fingers on Plastic. Well, I finally made it to Scotland, and I am here to interview Greg from PrimeTime Toyz. Now, I know what you're thinking. Don't worry, I have not bought one toy this weekend. Not one single. Yes, Greg.
Where are you? How are we going to get this in your suitcase? Are you recording?
I was.
I'll go.
Simon, it's not what it looks like, okay? Greg. Right, okay. I'll be back in a minute. We're going to start this interview, all right? Okay, so we're here with Greg from PrimeTime Toyz.
Hello.
Hi, Greg.
Hi.
We're going to start you off with 10 quickfire questions, okay? Bit of a warm-up. You ready?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, as quick answers as you can. Magnus Manderson style, all right? Okay, this is not to start. Okay, number one. Rumble, red or blue?
Red.
Hot rod, guilty or innocent?
Innocent. Feed them to the shark to cones.
So, favourite line in the 86 movie?
Megatron must be stopped, no matter the cost.
Favourite G1 toy?
Hot spot.
Favourite character?
Soundwave.
Oh, really? Favourite MP you own?
I'll go for MP13. Soundwave.
And worst MP you own?
That's a harder one. One of the unique toys Combaticons, either Vortex or Blastoff.
Ooh, my favourite one. XTB or Fans Toys? Is it going to be Fans Toys?
It is Fans Toys, but XTB are catching them fast. If you ask me that in a year or two, it might be different. Fans Toys.
Tune or toy?
Toon.
Ooh, and your last, I know the answer to this one. You ready? Favourite YouTube channel?
Oh, it's got to be Fingers in Plastic. No, it's Bobby.
Did you hear that, Bobby? Right. This interview isn't going very well, is it? Okay, alright, we have some more questions for you, Greg. Some are from people who have written in, and some are from Fingers on Plastic.
Okay.
I'm going to start you off with one from Ben Farden. Thanks, Ben. Who asks, which is your favourite Soundwave figure and why?
Okay. Soundwave is my favourite character, which we touched on, and the favourite one is MP13. And there's a reason behind that. MP13 is the figure that got me back into collecting about 3-4 years ago. So I was having a chat to my dad, who got remarried and cleaned out the loft, and in that time he threw out all of my G1 Transformers, all of my He-Man, Thundercats, Star Wars, you name it, gone. So I was a bit bored one weekend, maybe a wee bit low one weekend, I can't remember, but I did end up on eBay, and I thought to myself, I want to buy one of my G1 figures back, and I want to buy Soundwave. And when I went onto eBay to buy Soundwave, the G1, I found MP13, and it blew my mind. And it actually confused me a little bit, because in my mind, that was G1. That's what I remembered it as a kid. Yeah. Until I thought, I better look it up, and realised he didn't look like that at all. So I quickly got on eBay, bought that MP13, and got hooked. So yep, MP13 is to blame for all of this, and is my favourite Soundwave.
Okay. You touched on other lines. We've got a question from Stuart MacGyver. We've got a couple from Stuart.
Grumpy Scotsman, Stuart.
Sorry, man. And he asks, what other lines do you collect?
Okay, so in Transformers I don't collect any other line apart from Masterpiece, but I have a box of G1s coming in, which I would hope had arrived today, might be coming in tomorrow, and that could be the Slippery Slope, because they are for me, and I do plan to have a bit of a then and now in my collection. So we'll see how that goes.
And he also asks how your collection has changed over the years.
Well, again, it probably hasn't, just in terms that I've only been into the MP, so it's changed in that it's filled out. and I've now hit a point where I really don't think there's any MPs that are available that I can get at the moment. So what I change is when a new one comes out, I'll substitute out the old one for the better one. So for example, I'm quite looking forward to getting in the Fans Toys Hunk.
Fans Toys!
And the Final Victory will be getting put back in the box.
Alright, and another one from Stuart. Where do you see the future of your collection?
Well, having run out of Masterpiece, and again, I think everybody watching, if you're into collecting, there's a bit of a need to buy things to collect. You need the high, and when there's not much coming out, I have found myself slipping into other streams. So I now have a Ghostbusters shelf, I have a Turtle shelf, and when the Super 7 Thundercats eventually come out, I have plans for that shelf, along with my G1 now and then collection for Transformers. So that's probably the way I'm going to go.
Okay, grand. Moving on to some questions about trading now, and I want to start with a question from Aaron Greenslade. Thanks, Aaron. Who asked, when you started PrimeTime Toyz, did you just want to sell figures at a competitive price, or did you see a gap in the market for third-party merchandise?
That's a good question. So a bit of both. So when I started trading, there was no PrimeTime Toyz that we have today. It was just eBay, and eBay can be very profitable. But what I realised was I was buying in stock from China and dealing with Chinese connections, and I realised from buying my own toys for my own collection that often the communication channels with China could be quite difficult. There's a 7-hour time gap, and the guys over there are just extremely busy. So at times I could be waiting from hours to at worst 4 days for a reply to a question of, do you have this available, how much would it be? So the gap in the market that I saw was effectively a couple of different things. The idea was, if I could buy a bigger quantity of toys, could I get it cheaper?
Right.
And if I could get it cheaper, then what would I do with that? Because I wouldn't be able to sell so many toys. So at TFN 2018, when I was kind of mingling with a bunch of pals, I started thinking to myself, well, what if we treated it like a group buy? So you tell me what you want. Instead of me buying 4, 5, 6, we'll buy 10, 15, 20, which I'll then be able to sell to you hopefully cheaper than you would have got it anyway, because I'll get a bulk discount, and that in turn would be knocking my buy price down for what I'm going to sell on eBay. So I was making a bigger profit on eBay and a small profit from the group buy. The other side of it was about the availability. So the gap in the market back to this point, I thought, I don't want to leave people waiting for hours. I certainly don't want to leave people waiting for a day, 2 days, 4 days. So I thought I'll do it differently by just being available, by taking the questions, cutting that out, letting people forget about that side of it, and then I'll take on that responsibility. I'll have that communication with China, and by having a bigger buying power in China, I found that people will reply to me quicker than they would have done if it was only me buying for myself.
Okay. How did you and Terry come to know each other?
Right, so Terry is my main distribution partner in China. So Terry came along later into PrimeTime Toyz. So I had started by buying things from Showz, from eBay, and I would have said my main supplier back at the beginning would have been Sarah Zhang, who is just fantastic. But just being competitive and just checking out other people, somebody had talked about Terry, and I thought I'll get in touch and give him a try. And again, just really down to communication, I thought he was top drawer. So his prices were competitive, probably more competitive, but more importantly for me, his communication was just a little bit better, and that won it over. So Terry and I got to know each other. There was no exclusivity at that point, but after several months we kind of did a bit of a deal of how could we work the business to suit both me and him, and that's now in place.
Do you think the communication benefit has helped you with your business?
Yeah. It's back to the point of that area that I saw we could take advantage of was people don't like waiting.
Right.
Okay. So if I'm asking a question and have to wait a day for an answer, then people are waiting for me for a day for an answer. So the quicker I can get an answer from China, the quicker I can reply to people.
Yeah.
So quite often somebody might be thinking, well, Greg's being a wee bit slow at the moment, and probably 9 times out of 10 I'm just actually waiting. So tracking's a great example.
Yeah.
I would love tracking to be quicker. I'd love it. It's the one area that if I could automate it, if I could get direct control of it, I would love to do that, but I can't. So I'm left waiting for the tracking, and the same day I get it, I'll dish it out. But people will be like, Greg, where's my tracking? Where's my tracking?
I might be one of those people.
And it's just out of my control, and there's just nothing I can do. So the better the communication that I can deliver with China, that I can negotiate with China, then the better that'll help me, and the better it'll help the group.
Okay. Next question. How was PrimeTime Toyz different today to when it first started?
Okay, so when it first started after the TFN 18, it's quite small. So we kind of started off with me just inviting people I knew, and the people I invited were friends and people who I traded with, either buying from or selling to, and I'd had a good experience with it. So I really wanted to kind of keep it close and make sure it was all very familiar at the beginning. So we ended up with about 50 people, and it was fairly active. So now we've got more than that. We've got a good amount more than that, but there's a lot of still dormant accounts in the group. It's not quite as big as it would look on face value, but it's a lot busier and it's a lot harder to keep on top of. So in that time, because we've been going now for a year and a half, over a year and a half, the big changes have been the development and introduction of the web page last year. So that semi-automates a lot of what I do. The two main functions of that are being able to see what's in stock. So two big questions I've got are, what have you got available to buy now? And what have I pre-ordered? So
Yeah.
believe it or not,
Guilty.
people seem to have a bad memory of what they've actually pre-ordered.
Yeah.
And it's probably a bigger job than you'd think for me to go through the list to work out what you may have on order. So I thought if I can get the web page up and running, it'll have a search function. You can see what's available, and when you order, you'll have a history which will tell you what you've had ordered, what's been delivered. It allows me to upload the tracking numbers in there, so you don't have to go feeding back through your messenger for that information. So for me, that's a massive evolution, because it saves me a lot of time if we can get the group members on board using that, and not just kind of messaging me to do it for them. The second change was more of a bit of a facelift. I decided we needed a bit of a rebranding. So again, just towards the latter part of the year, we just got a bit of a facelift, and we got Looking Monks in to help with that, and we got a new logo designed, which you have seen.
Yeah.
And I know that you know Looking well. You've got one of Looking's T-shirts, as do I.
Need a pink one of these,
I
mate.
Looking.
You know what I mean? Looking did Fingers and Plastics logo as well, didn't you, Simon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was around about the same time.
Yeah.
It was around about the same time. So I think when we got the little mascot for Fingers and Plastic, Looking and I had a little chat about a mascot for PrimeTime Toyz, and we came up with PrimeTime PT for PrimeTime PT.
Almost Paddy, nearly.
And yeah, very, very happy with it. And if you ever need Transformers merchandise, you're looking for T-shirts, then look up Looking's page, and he's got tons of choice.
He was at TFN, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Because I met you there, mate, and I got a T-shirt then. So yeah, okay. Next question is from, damn it, Greg! From Simon Odd.
Ah, Simon.
Simon, I know you have more Optimus Primes than me. Okay? I know it. And every time I buy one, you buy 2.
300 and how many?
Don't. What have I got? 12? Thanks, Simon. Right. Simon's question is, what is it about being a plastic crack dealer that you enjoy the most?
Yeah, jeez. There's a lot of good parts to the job. As you can imagine, you're engulfed in toys all day. But what is it? It's really satisfying when things are going well. Okay? So the group kind of operates a bit like a community group. And when people are happy, which isn't always the case, but a lot of the time it is, and that's brilliant. You know, when you're getting the messages, just when a transaction goes smoothly, somebody buys a toy, the money comes in, might take 5 days, but you know, most of the time everybody's kind of quite patient about it, and we get the numbers out, it comes on time, sometimes it comes quickly, and then you get the message of a photo, or it's in the feedback post going, it's all here. And you realise it's early, it's not broken, the box wasn't dented, and most importantly, they're happy. And at that time, you're kind of thinking, what else can I be doing? You know, I'm making a living, I'm sitting at home, selling toys, making people happy. Yeah, I think that's the best bit, mate.
Okay, that's the good bit.
Okay.
What about the bad bit?
Bad bit? What's the worst thing about being a dealer?
Yeah.
Okay. The counter to that then, being engulfed in toys, quite often I'll be quite busy and I might have an hour to myself and I'll think, right, I'm going to open up a toy.
Right.
And I don't. And I'm just a little bit bogged down in it, and maybe at that moment in time, I don't feel like I want to spend that next hour playing with a toy, because I've just been looking at toys, cataloguing toys, transforming, packing them, maybe putting them on the internet. And the downside is occasionally I don't get to open things for quite some time. So this weekend you're up visiting, and we've been putting some things on the shelf.
Rodimus?
So Rodimus has sat in his box since February 19. That's a year nearly. And I think the oldest one that I found is shameful. We found an MP30 Ratchet still in his box.
Oh, yeah, we did. Where is it?
Well, he's in van mode at the moment.
We didn't even transform him yet.
We've got him on the shelf.
He's on the shelf. Step 1.
So yeah, when I look at things, we're sitting here in January and we're opening Rodimus, Ratchet, Neptune, the new Trailbreaker.
Trailbreaker.
And yeah, I'm thinking, how has it been so many months since we've actually got to these? But anyway, you've just got to enjoy your downtime as best you can.
Next question from Robert Andrew.
A local boy.
Thanks, Robert. How does your eBay sales compare with your group sales?
Okay, eBay. Okay, eBay is bad Greg. Nemesis Greg.
He said it.
Right. eBay's a lot more profitable. Okay?
Right.
But I'll sell a lot less on eBay than I will do in the group. So the margins on eBay are 3, 4, maybe even 5 times higher than the margins on the group. But in terms of quantity, I'll probably sell 3, 4, 5 times more quantity on the group. So the money probably comes in half and half. But the amount of work that has to go into the group is much more than the amount of work that would have to go into eBay. So bad Greg likes eBay.
Okay. Most popular question we got asked was, will the page be opened again for new members?
Okay, so that's an interesting one because the page is not closed for new members. I'm just being a little bit more particular about who we want on the group, because I want the group to have a community feel to it. I'm really happy with the group, and I guess what I'm looking for is friends of friends. So what I'm not looking for is a random guy on TF UK sales who says, I'm looking for a Magic Square Prime, and 10 people tag me and go, have you talked to Greg at PrimeTime Toyz? I actually find that not very helpful, because most of the time, probably 70% of the time, I end up having conversations with people and they get a bit of a shock that Prime is in China, that it's going to be imported, that it's going to be 2 weeks to come. They start worrying about all of the implications that come with that. And at the end of the day, they're like, no, I was on TF UK sales because I wanted to buy something from the UK. So I actually find I get lots of time taken up talking to people who don't end up buying. But occasionally you end up with the other 30% where you end up talking to people. And a good example to plug one of my pals these days, a guy called Peter Raymond, just kind of stumbled over Peter, and through a conversation like that, he's a great guy. You know, so you do find the gems in those conversations, but I'll be honest, there's a lot of time wasted. So am I looking for new members? Yes. Am I looking for people to go out there plugging PrimeTime Toyz? No. I'd probably rather they didn't. I'd rather that we keep the group as the best kept secret. But if they know that there's somebody like you, Paddy, so you're out there looking for Optimus and somebody sees your post, then by all means get them into the group. You know, if you know them and you think they're going to like it, then it won't be a 70-30 chance. It'll be, you know, 80% likely that they're going to get it because you know them and they'll trust you, the fact that you like it. You know, that I get a really good hit rate for finding new customers when it's like, my pal has been using you. But I get a really bad hit rate for customers where it's just a random guy and people are jumping on top of them going, try Greg, but they don't know who they are.
Okay. Last set of questions, Greg, I promise. Okay. Are the elimination prize draws as nervous for you as they are for us?
No, they're fun.
No,
fun.
They are, but
they're not nervous. Occasionally I'll feel a little bit guilty if somebody gets 2 in a row and they get eliminated and they've only got 2 tickets and bang bang. I think one guy, Chris Fryer, I think once he bought 4 tickets, and I think all 4 had gone in about the first 6. And I was sitting there clicking, going, "Oh Jesus!" But I wouldn't call it. I'm not nervous about it. I just feel a wee bit bad for people as they get eliminated if it feels it's been a wee bit unfair for them.
Okay, well personally, I love them, and I'll watch them even when I don't have a ticket in, just so I'll be nosy and I can wait for Simon to get eliminated and then I can text him. Go, you're out, mate. But no, I hope you do keep them up.
Yep.
Okay. Next question: what is your holy grail figure, and why?
Okay. Well, as I mentioned earlier, you know, as my MP collection filled out, I've kind of running out of figures that I really need, and I have had multiple holy grails, but I found them all, and generally they're all due to one person, an old pal, Russell White, who I think I needed Insecticons, Fans Toys, and managed to persuade him to part with a set. The X Dinobots, the metallic ones from Fans Toys, the blue Grimlock G2 from Fans Toys, all of them I've managed to probably wear down. Poor Russell. To the point where he's fed up of me going, when you get around to it.
Go on, go on.
Don't forget me if you ever think about selling them. So what is my next holy grail? It'll probably depend what he's selling next, because he's always got a treasure trove of stuff that I'm always intrigued with. I go, oh, I can't believe you've got that. But probably more realistically, I've just finished watching TF Prime, and as a Soundwave guy,
yeah,
probably it's not going to be the hardest grail to find, but I probably would like to find a version of Soundwave.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we're big fans of Transformers Prime on Figures on Plastic. Simon had me hooked. Absolutely fantastic. I do recommend a couple of RC figures. Really good. And last question: will you have a table at TFN this year?
I would imagine that people will find me at a table at TFN in the bar. I don't plan on trading. I didn't plan on trading last year, but Ben made me an offer I couldn't refuse. He helped me plug the G2s, X-Transports that had exclusives on, and after he had cleared out a few bits of his stock on the Saturday, an even better opportunity came up to stand with them on the Sunday and bring in some stock that I was planning on taking home with me, but I managed to flog some of it at TFN. So no regrets, it was great to do, but I think if I had to weigh it up and go, do I want to do that again, or would I rather have the alternative table at the bar? I feel like I missed too much of the social element, and I worked pretty hard. I think if people know me, they'll know that if you message me at 10 o'clock at night, at 10:30, at 11 o'clock, if I'm still awake, I'll generally pick it up. I work too hard, and it's a chance to have a weekend off and relax and go and have a beer with my mates. So,
no, is the answer.
No.
He's saying. Do you find that there's any less enjoyment in that weekend when you're working? Does it, the fact that, how do I put it, the fact that you're working with the toys all the time, does that have any effect on your enjoyment? Because you mentioned that earlier about not wanting to open a toy. Is there ever a time when you think, I'm falling out of love with the toys? No.
Even if I don't open the toy, I get a huge satisfaction of having it. So if I never had that Rodimus sitting in the box, or Neptune, or Trailbreaker, that would eat away at me. The collector in me is satisfied knowing I've got it, even if I haven't got around to taking it out the box and putting it on the shelf. So at TFN, being surrounded by like-minded people, being in the trader hall and just looking around at everything, you still get the high. That's not gone anywhere. It's not been dampened.
Good, because it's a fantastic weekend, isn't it?
It's my favourite weekend. It's like Christmas for me.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Okay, well, I've run out of questions, so I'm done. Okay, Greg, listen, thanks very much.
Thank you
for having me and for coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And I hope that was informative for people out there. If there's any other questions that you've got for Greg, please do put it into the comments, and we'll see what we can do. I don't think I'm going to get invited back to Scotland to do a second interview, so this is probably going to be it. Okay. But listen, it's been fantastic, Greg. Thanks very much.
Okay. Well, thank you for having me on, and talk to you later, guys.
We'll see you soon. I talk too much. He knows it. All right. I'll see you really soon. Right. I'm happy with that. I think it's grand.
Yeah, I think so. Right, cool. I'll go and get the kettle on.
Oh, good man. Thanks. One sugar, yeah?
Yep.
Okay.
See you in a bit.
Now, where is that Vans Toys coat for PJ? Where is it?
Fingers on plastic.
We're going to start off with some questions about your collection. Some of these questions have been sound fucking